So now we are going to see how we can configure environments. Let's say you want to run the same scripts in two different environments, QA or staging. So let's see how can we do that. So in order to implement multiple environments for a UI automation framework, we are going to have two different application URLs. So let's consider an example where we have two different environments, QA and staging. So the first step is to create separate environment files for the same. So I am creating .env.qa in which I will keep environment variables specific to QA environment. So let's say I want to keep base URL. So I've defined a URL in QA. Let me create another file for staging. We need to create this file in the root folder. Now I'm creating environment.staging. So just for testing, I am putting a different URL in staging, whereas I'm using the actual working URL in QA, just to show you the execution. Now, this is the step 1. We have defined environment variables in separate files. Second step is configure this in Playwright config.ts file. Now here, first we need to import the .environment file, and then we have to import the path. Now we have to load the specific, first we have to define the variable. Let's say env equals to process.env.env. This is the variable which we are going to use when it's not provided. So here I am telling Playwright config to fetch environment from the env variable passed during execution, or default is QA. Now once this environment is fetched, we need to configure the path of environment file to load. So here we have to do .net.config, then path to resolve, and here, like I mentioned, I've created files from .envqa and .env.staging. So I have specified the same name here. .env. And here the $sign. This will come at the runtime from this environment variable. And third step is to use this browser URL. So under the section use, I'm going to define base URL equals to process.env.base URL. So now it is going to load the specific file, and then it is going to update the base URL as per that specific file. Okay, I think I duplicated this. Okay, now if you want to run it, you can pass the environment equals to QA npx playwright test. Now for QA it should fail. Now if you see, it says that it has injected environment from the environment variables. Injected environment.qa, and then it has launched the playwright as well. Okay. So it says the test cases are passed, Let me see. Oh yes, in QA environment variable we have provided the right URL. In staging we are using different URL. So let's try the staging one. So now I have to define environment as staging npx.playwright. Now the test cases should fail because we are using a different URL. Let's wait for the execution. Now you can see it has injected environment variable from environment.staging file. So now the test cases are failed. It says test timeout exceeded. It's not able to enter this value, which means that it has failed. It has logged into the it has opened the application, but it is not able to identify the username field because the application link that we provided is incorrect. Now we know that how we can execute the test cases in different environments. We can also go ahead and set the scripts in package.json, and we can directly use those scripts instead of writing this whole complete line again and again every time. So here we can define as scripts and scripts we can write like test QA. Here we can define the script as like pros env equals to QA npx playwright test. Similarly, we can define for staging. Okay. So now what we can do, first we'll have to install the cross environment by doing a npm install. Now I can simply run npm run test-QA to run the QA environment. Now you see it has injected the environment QA file, it is executed, and it should be a success. 2 test cases passed. Now again let's do it for staging. So now it has picked injected file environment variables from environment.staging file, and it's struggling to run because the URL that we provided is not of login page. So this was about how we can perform the parallel execution. So this was about how can we configure the environment. Now next thing is parallel execution. Now the next concept is parallel execution. So parallel execution can be achieved in different ways. Let's discuss the major ones. So let's say if you want to execute test cases, you can define workers count. Let's say I'm defining workers count 2. So I want to use 2 parallel workers who will be executing test cases parallelly on this machine. Now if you see, it says running 2 tests using 2 workers in parallel. The execution is failed. Let's see. Okay, we were running on staging and hence it was getting failed. Let me run it on the QA environment. Okay, both the test cases are passed. Now let's see the report. So this is the report. If you see here, it says executed on worker 0, and then if you see for the second test case, executed on worker 1. So both these are executed on two separate workers parallelly. Now when we execute the cases, another way, so by default when we provide the workers count, the test spec files are executed parallelly. If you want to run all the tests as parallel, you need to define fully parallel as true. Once you define this fully parallel as true, all the tests will run as parallel. So this was about parallel execution. If you want to check parallel execution in detail, you can check out a separate video in which I have explained parallel execution in very detailed manner. So this was it about the Playwright test automation framework on UI. If you want to have the code, I will share the GitHub repo link down in the description. You can download it from there. If you like this video, do hit the like button. If you want to watch more videos, you can hit the subscribe option. Thanks everyone. Thanks for watching this video.